Hi, welcome to my kitchen. Today it's more American cooking, and this time, look at this. It is chocolates. Wonderful chocolates. I bet you thought that chocolate was some foreign source, you see, from France perhaps. No, not at all. Chocolate belongs to us. When Cortez invaded the middle part of our land, Central America, he found Montezuma. What are we talking about? 1519 was the year. He found Montezuma sitting about with a gold cup filled with an aphrodisiac called chocodol, a wonderful drink made of cocoa powder, hot pepper sauce, vanilla and cinnamon, no sugar. Well, the Spanish were so excited about this drink that they took the cocoa powder, the cocoa bean, back to Europe with them. But it came from the Americas. Then eventually, they began adding sugar. And pretty soon, cocoa became very popular in the continent. But it was served without sugar in Central America and the northern part of South America. The cocoa bean at that time, during the middle 1500s, was so important that it was used for currency. As a matter of fact, I have a list here. It cost 10 cocoa beans for one rabbit, or if you wanted a pumpkin, it would cost you 4 cocoa beans. A live slave was 100 cocoa beans. And a girlfriend was 10 cocoa beans. So maybe that will help you get some kind of monetary balance in line with cocoa beans and South America at the time. In 1828, a fellow in Holland learned how to process the cocoa bean, and from that came what we now call chocolate. He added vanilla and sugar and cocoa butter, which he extracted from the bean, and then eventually in Switzerland, of course, leave it to the Swiss, to begin making a very rich, what they called edible chocolate that would melt literally on your tongue. And to this day, the Swiss, are you ready for this? The Swiss eat 22 pounds of chocolates per year. Americans eat only 14 pounds. But that's not what I want you to think about. What I want you to think about is other things that we can do with chocolate. Wonderful, wonderful things. But first, let's get rid of the fact that you and I are really stuck with sugar in our chocolate. I went to my favorite chocolate factory, which is right here in Chicago. It's the top floor of the Marshall Fields building. They've been making Frango mints there for years and years and years. So I invaded the place, and I begged them, please, show me what you do. This fellow is beginning the process of the actual pouring of the chocolate. Here is the chocolate pour. He's from Lithuania, actually, a wonderful man. The chocolate is heated, melted down. The mint is added, or the seasoning is added, and then it's very carefully hauled into a pouring room. Now, I must tell you that the temperature here of the chocolate is very, very important. If the chocolate is too hot or if it is too cold, it will bloom. That is to say, it will turn gray on you. You remember looking at chocolates in an old package you found on the market, you see? If it's too old, if it's too hot or it's too cold, it will bloom or get those kind of gray edges on it. Then you know you have bad chocolate. But this stuff is so fresh. They turn out pounds and pounds and pounds of this stuff all the time. They pour the melted chocolate, the mixture with the seasonings and the flavoring and all, out on a table, level it down, and then let it cool. Look at that chocolate. And then it is cut up into smaller cubes, you see? These are about 10 inches wide and about 12 inches long. Then those are cut up into smaller pieces yet, and then they're put on what they call the line. Now watch. What does the line mean? The line is an enormous chocolate dipper. And these pieces of the center chocolate, you see, goes through a dipper machine. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? And then she puts a little pattern, a little design on the top too. Oh, to make them look more like they were hand-dipped. But you can't. They sell too many pounds of these things to hand-dip them. However, they do make hand-dipped chocolates. My grandmother used to do this years ago for the Parisian Candy Company in Seattle. Watch this. These gals have been doing this for years and years. The center is sugar, of course, and flavorings, and they roll it into a ball and then dip it into the chocolate, exactly the right temperature, and then it settles, and eventually the center breaks down, just a few days, and then it becomes soft and gooey. Now this one will not become soft and gooey because she's making chocolate clusters. And boy, is she good at it. Wouldn't you love to play with this? You young kids that are watching, wouldn't you love to have this job? Now she puts some more peanuts in. She just had a little hardening liquid. She had a few drops of that white fluid. That's to help the chocolate stay firm. If it's too soft, of course, it will give way in warm weather. Now, big bloop into one of those little cups. Little cups, that thing must weigh 1/4 pound. In any case, once those are set up, they'll be packed. But this is the end of the Frango line. They've gone through, the pieces of chocolate have gone through the cooling machine, and now they're packed. Do you notice how much handwork we're talking about? Please don't ask me again why chocolates are expensive. Chocolates, 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 chocolates. I love it. Chocolates. Listen, wonderful place. Isn't that gorgeous? A little more topping. Oh, I love it. I love it. This is a 10-pound chocolate bar. 10 pounds. Isn't this gorgeous? And it is a slow down. It is a wonderful example of the good chocolate they use for dipping, and they use 80,000 pounds a month, or 960,000 pounds per year, or 480 tons. That's almost 1 million pounds a year. Wonderful, wonderful chocolate. Now let me talk to you about the history of the chocolate bean, because it isn't what you think it is. It's a very interesting thing. There. I have chocolate all over the place. The people at the Chocolate Manufacturers Association of the USA were so kind to find something. Well, you've never seen this. I have in my hand a gift from them. This is a cocoa pod. Cocoa pod. And look what you do. The process is just amazing. Let me split one of these for you here. We're going to crack one open. You can see what's in here. I'm using a very sharp cleaver because this pod's hard. There. Ouch. Ouch. There. Look. Inside you have, well, I'll take some out. Inside you have the cocoa bean. Isn't he gorgeous? Come on out of there. These are so slippery. And each one, see, they wouldn't crack it like I did. I cut that open in a hurry. But you separate the beans. Now, here the process begins. Let me tell you what happens. Let me wipe my hand off first. Boy, these are slippery. I've never seen a cocoa pod before. Not chocolate pod. Remember, chocolate has vanilla and sugar in it. This is a cocoa pod. This is what Montezuma saw. All right, let me dry my hands off here. What we're going to do is to go through the process with you. The beans are, first of all, fermented. You see, they're still a little slippery and wet. You see this? They're fermented, which draws out the flavor somehow. I don't understand the process, but I do know it's very complicated. Then, these are the fermented beans that are dried. You see, they're no longer slippery. And then the bean is roasted. And then finally, the bean is ground and processed again, and we have cocoa. I assume that your one Hershey bar takes about a whole pod of cocoa beans. I cannot imagine how they can afford to sell chocolate. I'm just shocked at the cost of this whole process. It's amazing. But my binge today is to let you know that cocoa is American, and there are other things you can do other than making sweet drinks. So let's go back to the days of yesteryear and try out the drink that Montezuma had. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I have some, that's pretty hot, yes. I have some hot chicken broth. I'm using chicken broth instead of what I assume he used would have been probably a hot water drink. But in any case, I'm going to mix this up in a hurry now. Here's the drink that I think he had. A lot of research, but I think this is it. 2 cups of chicken broth. Oh, a half teaspoon or so of cocoa powder. Now remember, cocoa says cocoa. Cocoa is cocoa. It's not chocolate. All right, then I need some Tabasco. Tabasco, yes, you're on the right channel. It's all right. Shot of Tabasco. Remember, they love pepper. They put Tabasco in this. And then we need a bit of vanilla. No sugar. I know this sounds strange, but these are all items from Central America. A little shot of vanilla, 1/4 of a teaspoon, and a half teaspoon of cinnamon. There. Again, from the Middle America here. Now, stir that up. I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, can I get away with serving this to my kids on a morning to get them out of bed? No, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. This is so hot that I don't think you should serve it to them before they go off to school, especially if they're in junior high school. They have enough trouble trying to figure out what's going on. Junior high is very hard on you. I know. I used to be a chaplain for junior high kids in my very first parish. It's hard work being a junior high kid. However, Tabasco with cocoa powder would certainly get their engine running early. I promise you it'll work. Be careful with it. the thing that I use to get my sons out of bed in the morning is a drink directly from Mexico. The chocolate that you want to buy in Mexico, you can buy this in any Mexican market in this country, birria, you see, and it's a, come on out there. Here you are. It's a pad of chocolate which has cinnamon, ground almonds, and the sugar already mixed into it. So all you do, what does it say here? Let's get the instructions. Heat 1 cup of milk and add 2 wedges per cup. And he says, put it through an electric blender. Well, I happen to know that in the old days, they didn't use an electric blender at all. They used something, oh, I've forgotten the Mexican name. Not a matalote, that's not right. But something like this. Let me show it to you. Instead of putting this in a food processor or a food blender, in the old days, this is what they used. And this device is, well, you see what happens when you whip it? Look at it. It would put a great big froth, an enormous froth at the top of your cup of hot chocolate. And they still use these. I bought this just a few months ago. We found one. Talk about historical proof. We've got good stuff today, gang. We found one in a Spanish galleon that was sunk in 1733, and the thing was down at the bottom of the sea, and it still works, and it looks just like this. So it's legit. All right. Now, I'm going to put 2 wedges for each cup of milk, and I have 2 cups of milk, so I've got my wedges into the, I'm going to use a food blender. Oops, in you go. And I'm going to pour in 2 cups of hot milk, and then I'm going to yell for the boys. Of course, they're down in the basement, sleeping away in their bedrooms, and I'll yell, fellas, I have Mexican cocoa ready for you. And they'll come right out of bed. I can't believe it. It's the only thing that'll get them out of bed. There we go. Be careful when the air expands, you see, with the heat, and it'll blow your head off. There we go. That's enough. And then I say, gentlemen, breakfast is served. And they're not easily impressed, you know. They've lived with me for a long time, but this one gets them out of bed. It's very frothy and very delicious, and it is a cocoa drink. There we go. It's a cocoa drink that is from Mexico and very typical of the flavors that came from way, way back in our history. A little vanilla, a little sugar, a little cinnamon, and in this case, some almonds. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. All right, now where do we go from here? Let me clear off my block, get rid of all this chocolate. Isn't this fun? 480 tons of chocolate a year. I can't even believe the place. But I saw it. There's chocolate. In Marshall Fields, there's chocolate on the walls. There's chocolate on the floor. The place is shiny clean. But they use so much chocolate that it's all over the place. And I really was in heaven. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of chocolate in heaven. I think that's an assumption all of us need to make. All right, next one. After the Mexican chocolate drink, I want you to try, let me see if this is ready. Oh, it's beyond ready. It's beyond ready. I have a soup of Cuban black beans. And it's beautiful. So I've made this for you before, so I'm not going to give you the whole recipe again. What I want to do is to tell you can do something crazy with this. Black bean soup has a little pepper in it. It's wonderful stuff. Look what? If you put in a couple tablespoons, now don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. Put in a couple tablespoons of cocoa powder into a black bean soup. Stir that up. Oh, already the flavor. See, it's not sweet. We automatically associate the image of cocoa with sweetness because that's how we make it. But it doesn't have to be sweet. And in this case, it has pepper in it. Cuban jalapeno peppers and Cuban red peppers. Oh, boy, this stuff is great. Now, I'll serve a bowl for you, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Oh, that's just terrific. Boy, that'll bring them home. Wow, that's rich. Oh, that's rich. These are just some little interesting things I'm trying to find for you because our binge today is on the fact that chocolate and cocoa are really American and that they needn't necessarily be sweet. There, now that I've made a mess out of serving that, I can use my thumb. This is an old restaurant trick, you know it. Use your thumb just before, as my cook would say, just before service. He would run your thumb around. Isn't that awful? That's the way it's done. All right. Here's a black bean soup with cocoa in it. Let me show you one more. This is a quickie, too. I almost set this hot pot of soup down on a 10-pound chocolate bar. That would begin to melt. Oh, we'd all go under. We'd all go under today. All right, here's one. If you take some rye bread, you make rye bread? I've done that for you before, so I don't want to make repeats, but I have a batch of dough here. which is in the sponge stage. We're just getting started on it. So I'm going to put into my rye bread dough. Are you ready? Yes, I am. Okay, I'm going to put in my rye bread dough a couple of tablespoons of cocoa powder. In rye bread? Yes. And I'm going to make cocoa rye. There. I'm using a teaspoon, a little plastic teaspoon. That's why you see me putting in 2 when I say I'm going to put in. I put in 4 when I say I'm going to put in 2. Blend it, beat the dough down, let it rise. I have a batch here already for you. This will not be complicated, but what I want you to understand is that the cocoa flavor in bread is wonderful. Look at that. It's not only rising, it's crawling all over the counter. Come here. Come here, you. I always let my doughs rise on a piece of plastic countertop, see, and put a bowl over the top rather than a wet towel or something. And that way you can, well, you can mold a loaf. Shall I go through that process for you? No, I have so many other things I want you to see. Rather than mold a loaf, let me just take a couple out of the oven. Let this rise a second time. Beat it down the first time. You know the way that's done. And then I want to put a bit of cornmeal. Boy, that's sticky. Wow. That means, because it's sticky, that means that it's going to have, the gluten has formed and the dough is going to form a wonderful crust. That's what we want in bread. Good, crunchy crust. There we go. So I have one for you now. I have 2 in the oven. This batch will make 2 loaves. There we go. Let me slice one for you. Look at this. Look at this. Cocoa rye. Nice crunchy bottom. Nice. Listen to this. Hear it crack? That's what you want in bread. That's what you want in bread. Let me slice a bit. I'm excited about this. Yes, I have tasted it. That was rude to ask. Sometimes I'll do weird things for you like that and not try them till the last minute, but this is awfully soft to be slicing. It's still warm and very moist inside, you see. But here's a cocoa rye. Oh, this is very, very good stuff. Really is. All right, what's next? Isn't this bizarre? You never know what you're going to get into when we get together, do you? All right, I dare you to make one batch. Because remember now, cocoa has a history of chilies, peppers. Make one batch of brownies, right? And into that throw 2 cans of chopped green chili peppers. Got that? No, I'm not crazy. Try it. Stir that up. Bake it. Well, I have a batch already baked for you. I know this really sounds weird, but remember that the chocolate and the chili belong. They're together. All right, this goes into a baking pan, into the oven. You know how to do that. You've got your own favorite brownie recipe. Where's mine? Let me see what I've done with it here. Wrong oven. Here it is. Oh, this is cool enough to talk about right now. And in the process of serving these, you will see inside. Oh, this is awfully moist. It's inside there. You can't quite see them, but it's loaded with chili, green chili peppers, and it's wonderful. Trust me, it's absolutely wonderful. Don't laugh at me. We've got more going here. Listen, just hang on. All right, the next one. I have a pot of chili cooking on the stove. My favorite recipe, and I'm going to add to that, to my where's that? This big spoon. Here we go. To my regular pot of chili, at the last minute, well, maybe last 10 minutes of cooking. You see? Oh, you know what's coming, don't you? You know what's going to happen. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Stand by. Here it goes. Put in 3 or 4 tablespoons, oh, maybe 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and stir this up. Do you know why they do this all the time? Cincinnati chili has cocoa in it. And I am very, very taken by this. Again, it's a chili base, that is to say, hot peppers, and the cocoa, excuse me, seems very much at home here, very much at home. Like the 2 belong together forever. That's enough. Let's serve up a pot. Can you imagine your kids coming in and saying, wow, what's it for dinner tonight, Dad? And you say, oh, calm down, boys. It's cocoa chili. Why not? Why not? 1 pot of cocoa chili. It's a wonderful flavor. And besides, sometimes it's fun to harass your kids, isn't it? And they'll sit down and they'll argue, there's no cocoa in here because it's not sweet. And then pretty soon they'll begin to taste it. And then they'll say, Dad or Mom, you're a genius. That's what you want to hear from your kids. Otherwise, why cook? Why cook? All right. I have one more. I can't give you the whole recipe. We're running out of time, but we always run out of time, so what's new? But I have prepared a sauce, a kind of pepper sauce, and there we are. Well, the end of that spoon. See what I care. Go away. There we are. This is a pepper sauce with some sesame seed and good things, and I'll give you the recipe in the book, but I'm going to add to this some Baker's semi-sweet chocolate, you see? Just a couple of cubes. Well, that'd be 4 cubes. How much is that? Each cube weighs, each 1-ounce cubes. Okay, so I'm putting in 2 ounces of chocolate, of semi-sweet chocolate. This goes back to Mexico, to a dish called mole poblano. They used to put it on turkey. Let me heat that up and we'll put it on some chicken. I have my chicken already. I'm going to serve chocolate sauce on chicken. No, it is not sweet. It is not what you think. And while that heats, I have one more for you that I think I may be able to complete. We'll warm that a bit and let the chocolate melt. That goes in the last minute. You don't want to cook chocolate. Don't want to cook it at all. Okay. Well, I shouldn't say at all. You don't want to overcook it. Finally, I want to make a chocolate elephant for you. This is for my wife, Patty, who claims the world doesn't need more moose, we need more elephants. She loves elephants. So, here we go. I have a mess here, first of all. Let's get rid of that one. I have separated 12 eggs. Yes, it's rich. It's rich. It's rich. Let's see. Where are they? Here we go. I've separated 12 eggs, and I have just the yolks in this dish, in this bowl. And I want to add 2 sticks. Can you believe this? Oh. Well, it's going to make a lot, though. Is that going to get me off the hook? No, I didn't think so. 2 sticks of butter and the 12 egg yolks, and we'll whip those up right now. Okay. It won't take long to blend this. There we are. There we go. Okay. Now, to that, I'm going to add... There we go. All right, to that, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla to the 12 egg yolks and the ½ pound of room temperature butter. I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla and about 3 tablespoons, where did I put it, of almond liqueur or amaretto. I think that's how you pronounce amaretto. Oh, I hope so. I know, it's about 3 tablespoons. This is my own addition. I made this for Phil Donahue and Willard Scott one afternoon on Phil Donahue's show, and we couldn't believe how delicious it is. So I want you to try again. Okay, while that blends, I want to let you know that there are many different kinds of chocolate on the market that you can buy for cooking. And this one is called Baker's German chocolate. And it's kind of semi-sweet. It's very delicious. And I've melted an entire pound of this stuff. Excuse me, something's overdoing here. There it is. Okay. I've melted an entire pound of sweet chocolate in a double boiler. Now, you know why. Because if you melt it in a pan, you're going to overheat the chocolate and it's going to bloom. Or you're going to destroy it. It's going to turn gray on you. All right. Now, we'll put the chocolate... I want to be sure and wipe off the bottom of my double boiler here because I don't want any water in this. It'll ruin it. So we'll pour the chocolate now. The 1 pound. Oh, this is disgusting. Isn't this wonderful? 1 pound of melted chocolate into my 12 egg yolks. Oh, you're going to turn to the Health Channel, aren't you? Just stop it, because once in a while, this kind of thing is good. And it certainly has all of the right ingredients for serious chocolate lovers. All right, I want to blend that with my egg yolks, butter, almond, and vanilla. And then eventually, okay, that's enough. And then eventually pour that into the 12 egg whites, which I've whipped to a nice meringue along with 4 tablespoons of sugar. And I'm not going to have time to pour this one into this one. Got that? We just won't bother. But do pour the chocolate into the egg whites and then fold them over, and I'll show you what you get. You get a chocolate elephant that is just delightful and terribly rich. But it's all right. I think it's all right to do this once in a while, gang. And finally, I have to put the chocolate sauce that we made on the chicken. This is very good. It's melted now. The cocoa is ready, or the chocolate is ready. stir it into the chicken, and we'll put it over the top. Stir it into the sauce, I should say, put the sauce on the top of the chicken. This is just unusual enough so that when your kids come to table, they can always wink at you and laugh a little bit, and then they can turn to their friends and say, see, around here, whoops, not too well, around here, we don't eat normal stuff. We eat American things that go way back in history. Today our lesson was on chocolate. I have made for you Mexican chocolate drink. Wonderful. Just make it in your food processor or your food blender. This one is, I can't tell you it's authentic, I'm not sure. But it seems to me that this was close to what Montezuma was drinking when Cortez came. Pepper and chocolate. Patty's elephant, chocolate elephant, black bean soup, chili. Try putting green chilies in wonderful brownies or chocolate sauce for your chicken, and try a rye bread with cocoa, because cocoa belongs to us. We're Americans. This is the Frugal Gourmet. Until I see you again, I bid you peace. Bye-bye.